Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Founder-Acharya Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Bhaktita Pavana Savior of the Fallen Souls, Śrīmad Prabhupada ki jai. Śrīmad Prabhupada enabled the entire universe with an ocean of ecstatic Krishna prema ki jai. ISKCON 50th anniversary ki jai. ISKCON Melbourne ki jai. Om Vishnu Van Balaham Vijayacharya Astadra Shishima Divine Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nama Chandra Shri Hare Rastakur ki jai. Padam Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakun Narakun Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mayapur Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Jasi Devi ki jai. Samarika Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premananda. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to His divine grace. Srila Prabhupada Vishnu Jaya. Krishna Pristaya Bhutare. Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami. Namaste Saraswati Devi. Chaline Nibhishesh Bhasha. So today we're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 27, Understanding Material Nature. Text number 5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Chittam asatam pati bhakti yogena tivrena tyajandayen vasham eva shanaischittam sankam atatam pati bhakti yogena tivrena tyajandayen vasham
Ata eva sanyaschittam prasaktam asatam pati bhakti yogena tivrena viraktaya cha anayad vasam
Ata eva sanyaschittam tam asatam pati bhakti yogena tivrena
yogena tibrena Viratyajanayet vasam Atta eva Therefore Shanai gradually Chittam mind consciousness Prasaktam attached Asatam of material enjoyment Pati on the path Bhakti yogena devotional service Prena very serious Viratya without attachment and he must bring Vasham under control. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. It is the duty of every conditioned soul to engage his polluted consciousness, which is now attached to material enjoyment, in very serious devotional service with detachment. Thus his mind and consciousness will be under full control. Purport. The process of liberation is very nicely explained in this verse. The cause of one's becoming conditioned by material nature is in thinking himself the enjoyer, the proprietor, or the friend of all living entities. This false thinking is a result of contemplation on sense enjoyment. When one thinks that he is the best friend to his countrymen, society, or humanity, and he engages in various nationalistic, philanthropic, and altruistic activities, all that is just so much concentration on sense gratification. The so-called national leader or humanist does not serve everyone. He serves his senses only. That is a fact. But the conditioned soul cannot understand this because he is bewildered with the spell of material nature. It is therefore recommended in this verse that one engage very seriously in the devotional service of the Lord. This means that one should not think that he is the proprietor, benefactor, friend, or enjoyer. He should always be cognizant that the real enjoyer is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the basic principle of Bhakti Yoga. One must be firmly convinced of these three principles. One should always think that Krishna is the proprietor, Krishna is the enjoyer, and Krishna is the friend. Not only should he understand these principles himself, but he should also try to convince others and propagate Krishna consciousness. As soon as one engages in such serious devotional service to the Lord, naturally the propensity to falsely claim lordship over material nature disappears. That detachment is called vairagya. Instead of being absorbed in so-called material lordship, one engages in Krishna consciousness. That is the control of consciousness. The yoga process necessitates controlling the senses. Yoga indriya samsayamaha. Since the senses are always active, their activities should be engaged in devotional service. One cannot stop their activities. If one wants to artificially stop the activities of the senses, his attempt will be a failure. Even the great yogi Vishamrita, who was trying to control his senses by the yoga process, fell victim to the beauty of Adhikari. There are many such instances under one's mind and consciousness. Unless one's mind and consciousness are fully engaged in devotional service, there is always the opportunity for the mind to become occupied with desires and sense gratification. One particular point mentioned in this verse is very significant. It is said here, prasaktam asatam pati. The mind is always attracted by asat, the temporary material existence. Because we've been associated with material nature since time immemorial, we become accustomed to our attachment to this temporary material nature. The mind has to be fixed at the eternal lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Savaimana Krishna Padaramandayo. One has to fix the mind at the lotus feet of Krishna then everything will be very nice. Thus, the seriousness of Bhakti Yoga is stressed in this verse. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahaganaraganatam Vitam Dam Sajivam Sadaitam Pradijana Saritam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Jai Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So again, here Prabhupada is emphasizing, just as he emphasized yesterday, this aspect of understanding Krishna as the supreme honor, supreme enjoyer, and the best friend. We have a tendency to think ourselves to be the honor, the enjoyer, and the friend. But Prabhupada is emphasizing, again, we must curb this tendency down. Of course, the devotee is the friend. Prabhupada also explains that, because Krishna is the best friend. The devotee who is representing Krishna, he is also the best friend. So now, the devotee is a friend. That's why our devotees go out to distribute books, to preach, Harinam, Sankirtan. These are the activities of actual friendship, of giving love and compassion to those who are caught up in suffering conditions. But apart from giving Krishna consciousness, this so-called friendship is show. Prabhupada points out in today's purport that actually they advertise themselves as the best friend, the benefactor, but actually they're simply engaged in sense enjoyment. So if we can meditate deeply on these points, as Krishna emphasizes in Gita, Bhoktaram Dukatapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, Yatmamam Shantam Vichiti. We can meditate deeply on this fact that Krishna, being the actual proprietor of everything, is the enjoyer of everything, and indeed the best friend of all living entities. And just become absolutely, totally absorbed in thinking about Krishna, talking about Krishna, and serving Krishna 24/7. That will be the perfection of our existence. We try to enjoy separately from Krishna, it doesn't work. We've been trying since time immemorial to enjoy separately from Krishna. But that's an artificial position. The hand cut off from the body cannot enjoy anything. So we artificially try to cut ourselves off from God by denying His existence, or saying that He is impersonal oneness, or so many other misconceptions. Therefore, it's very, very essential that we hear from the Lord Himself, or for those who are from those who are purely presenting the teachings of the Lord. Because we cannot realize the Lord by mental speculation. It's not possible. our brains are too tiny and insignificant, and the Lord is too great. His greatness is far, far beyond what we can grasp with mundane intelligence. Some say, well, I'll accept only what is rational. But our ability to rationalize is very limited. And our senses are imperfect. Our mind is imperfect. Our senses are imperfect. Our intelligence is imperfect. Therefore, we actually want to know things as they are. It's only with purified senses. And with purified senses, one can actually experience and understand what is love. They're very proud of their scientific instruments. Yes, by our science we will understand the mysteries of the universe. We now have powerful telescopes. We have powerful microscopes, discoscopes and datascopes. We will scope out reality with our powerful instruments. But these are simply expanding their central powers a little bit. But there's so much that lies beyond. There's a vast, unlimited realm of existence which lies far, far beyond what they can perceive with their senses or with the expansion of their senses, their fancy, sophisticated instruments. But we don't really need all these big, fancy, sophisticated instruments because we have instruments which are much more powerful than their most powerful instruments. And that is our purified senses. Rishikesha Rishikena Sevanam Premanjana Charika Bhaktivedanta Santaksadara Hridayeshu Valokayanti Yam Shama Shundanam Chinya Gunasvarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamahamajanim. I worship Govinda, the primary Lord, the Visham Sundar, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes. When the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. If we can simply learn how to anoint our eyes, our perceptual senses, with the salve of love, then we can see far, far beyond what any scientist can perceive with his instruments. So how does one anoint one's eyes and one's senses with that salve of love? That begins with hearing. As Prabhupada himself credits his hearing as being what enabled him to preach as he was able to preach. By hearing from his spiritual master. This whole process begins with hearing, Shravanam. If one can hear qualitatively, if one can hear meditatively, if one can open one's heart and allow the transcendental sound vibrations to penetrate deep, 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 deep into one's consciousness, then what those sound vibrations do is burn away all the lust, the anger, the greed, the madness, the illusion, the envy, and keeping one caught up in karma chakra for millions and millions of lifetimes. So we have to learn, we have to master this art of hearing. This will bring us all perfection. Simply learning how to hear very nicely. And then once we've heard nicely, we can chant nicely. Once we chant nicely, we hear nicely, we can serve nicely. And then we'll be able to remember very nicely Krishna in all times, places, and circumstances. Smadanam. Now we're remembering so many mundane things. Our consciousnesses are so polluted with so many mundane remembrances. But as you have more Krishna consciousness, more hearing, more serving, more Krishna consciousness experiences, then because these are actually much more attractive and more relishable than anything you could ever experience in the material world, these transcendental remembrances will gradually squeeze out all the mundane remembrances. I know when I first joined, I had so many memories of mundane activities, doing this, doing that, going here, going there. And I was thinking, how am I going to get rid of all this stuff polluting my brain, all these remembrances of mundane sense gratification. But then I realized that actually every day you engage in devotional service, you're putting transcendental memories into your psyche. gradually the other stuff gets squeezed out. Now, remember, well, I went to that Bhaktivedanta festival, I went to Mayapur, I went to Vrindavan, there was that one arti that one morning, or that one Guru Puja, or that one class, or that one day on some kirtan. The more you sincerely engage in devotional service, the more your consciousness becomes filled up with all these wonderful, wonderful memories of transcendental activities. So the mundane stuff just gets squeezed out. It's not nearly as attractive. It's only superficially attractive. Sense gratification is actually poison. It may appear to be nectar, but it's actually simply poison. So when you start to experience the real nectar of Krishna consciousness, start to really taste the nectar of Krishna, the name Krishna, is the person Krishna himself. The nectar of associating with Vaishnavas, the nectar of serving the deity, the nectar of circumambulating Tulsi Devi, the nectar of Anand Prasadam. The more you have these experiences, mundane stuff just kind of fades away. So we have to have faith in this process. Sometimes devotees get bored at the beginning because they're so pulled by their materialistic remembrances and their illusory feeling that they actually enjoy it in that way. So they're pulled back. We have to remember that this is simply illusion. There's no pleasure in these mundane activities. Prabhupada compares it to a drop of water in the desert. Someone dying of thirst in the desert, and you give them one drop of water in their tongue, will it save them? It will simply frustrate. One drop of water and a little eyedropper, ping. Oh my dear sir, here's some water you're dying of. Here, a drop of water. Will that help them? It will simply frustrate them. So, even if you can enjoy the pleasure of Lord Brahma being the chief demigod of the entire material universe, the pleasure of Brahmaji even is just a drop of water in the desert. So we have to understand the real nectar is in Krishna's name. That's where the real nectar is. Krishna nama Adhikari Siddhakti Vidya Tato Patata Rashana Sanivachitani Kim Vadarandavinam Kati Shai Vidusha Sramit Karlavi Buddhahamchi. The holy name, character, and pastimes of Krishna are transcendently sweet, just like sugar candy. Although the tongue, when it was afflicted with the jaundice of avidya, could not taste anything sweet, it is simply wonderful that by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within one's tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. So it's a gradual process, as Rupa Goswami points out in his verse, in the Upadeshamrita. It's gradual. There's a disease. That disease is the desire for material sense gratification. But as you continue to chant Hare Krishna, that name becomes sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, and it squeezes out the desire for material sense pleasures. So therefore we should have faith in this process, take it very devotedly, understanding I've been caught up in the cycle of birth and death for millions and millions of lifetimes. I'm not going to become a pure devotee overnight. I'm not going to see Krishna face to face overnight. But if I stick to this process, I will be able to meet Krishna personally in due course of time and regain my original loving relationship with him. Even if it takes millions of lifetimes, that's okay. Or one lifetime, that's great too. As Prabhupada confirmed, if we simply dedicate this one life, we can go back to God and be Krishna. So let us take this process very seriously, as Prabhupada has emphasized here in this purport. Seriously, enthusiastically, and joyously, let us embrace this process of Krishna consciousness. It's our only business in life. So perhaps there's some questions I can try to answer. Okay. If the Lord comes in your dream and gives you indication to do something, then take it seriously. Well, it could be a concoction also. It should be confirmed by the scriptures, by the spiritual master. How to conquer enviousness in Krishna consciousness and materialism. Prabhupada personally told me how to use envy in Krishna's service. When you see somebody is getting more mercy than you're getting, then you can try harder so Krishna will recognize you also, Prabhupada told me. As far as being envious materially, that doesn't make any sense. That means you're still thinking material life is enjoyable. Actually, you should feel sorry for those who are caught up in material nature. To be envious of those who are materially well situated more than you, it's insanity. When we tell ourselves that we are strong and best, to help us be full of positive thoughts, and how to avoid pride gets developed subconsciously. If you want to think you're the best, you should think you're if you want to think you're the most, you should think you're the most fallen. Actually, that's the best thing. You can think but Prabhupada actually said, one devotee said, Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen. Prabhupada, you're the most, and not the most anything, you're simply insignificant. So don't get proud thinking, I'm really the most fallen, I'm more humble than anybody else, because I think I'm the most fallen. You've got to look out for the false ego. It's so easy to think, I feel myself lower than anybody else, therefore I'm actually higher than everybody else. So look out, just feel, as Prabhupada said, the most insignificant beggar when he signed his arrival prayers in the U.S. Just feel you're insignificant. That's the right move to be in. For marriage, is astrology very important? I didn't consult an astrologer, and I'm having a great marriage. It was arranged by our GBC, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and it's fantastic. If a person commits the sin of killing, for example, will he get a reaction? Sure. He will also have to be killed, yes. Will the person who kills the sinner also get sin? No, we don't. In this age, we don't kill the sinners. If we were to kill the sinners, we'd have to all be killed. We kill the sentimentality by Harinam, Kirtan, book distribution, Prashadam distribution. If someone commits a sin by polluting the Ganges, what is the way to save yourself from the reaction? What did you do? You stabbed in the country or something? Just, if you make a mistake and commit an offense toward the Ganges, then you have to just beg forgiveness and don't do it again. Humans in remote tribes who doesn't have any culture or scriptures to guide them, do they get karma because they survive only on a meat diet? Yes, everyone gets karma. Ignorance is no excuse. They took that birth because they had a desire to live like that. So they get the karma. How did Hare Krishna mantra come to the world? Golokera Prema-dana Harinama Sankirtana. It has come by the mercy of great personalities. Hare Krishna mantra. What if I don't enjoy all the devotional activities? How can I fix my mind and conscience in devotional service? Well, don't you worry about enjoying them. You just try to do them in such a way that Krishna will enjoy them, that your spiritual master will enjoy them. You can please the Vaishnavas. That's how you'll actually be satisfied. Don't you try to be the enjoyer. You try to give enjoyment to Krishna, to Guru, and Vaishnavas. That's how you will enjoy them. Is it okay to have a role model for your material life who is not Krishna conscious? It's like somebody in your office who's really successful and you also want to be successful. There's no harm if you do that. But, for some material purpose, somebody, let's say you're a computer programmer or something, and the guy in the cubicle next to you, he does a better job than you at writing code, and you can pick up a few tips from him, there's no harm. Who is Krishna? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's an interesting question. Who is Krishna? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself recited Om Vishnave Namaha 3 times and declared that he, Chaitanya, is not Krishna. On another occasion he told Krishna doesn't take avatar in Kali Yuga except as Kalki. So on what basis do you consider Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the incarnation of Krishna? On the authoritative scriptures. Lord Chaitanya is simply Krishna in the mood of being a devotee, therefore he denied that he was Krishna. But he also revealed that he was Krishna as well in other times. I sometimes feel that if the goal of my life is to develop love for Krishna, then why get caught up in family life? Rather, I should give my life fully to the Lord. But I feel scared. Please help me in this confusion. One can remain brahmachari for the whole life. That's very auspicious. That's actually recommended that a man can do that. But if he's too much inclined to married life, then he can take married life and live as a brahmachari in married life, using sex only for procreation and raising a family in Krishna consciousness. That is also very good. Can you please explain Nama Abhas and Shaya Abhas, different stages of chanting? Well, there's basically 3 stages. The offensive stage, the clearing stage, and the offenseless stage. We all begin in the offensive stage. That's why we have the 10 offenses. We have to learn those offenses. We recite them, we learn them, and we strictly avoid them. By endeavoring to avoid these offenses, sincerely endeavoring, then one enters into the clearing stage, where gradually they go away. When they're completely gone, then you're a pure devotee. Your chanting is now pure. How to tolerate the envious behavior of some relatives who want to victimize devotees? It's better to avoid such personalities. Lord Chaitanya taught asat samgratyam, give up the association of non-devotees. Based on the last sentence of the purport, seriousness of bhakti yoga is stressed here. I see the most serious personality was Maharaj Parikshit. He didn't even sleep or eat or drink 7 days and nights, but seeing himself and seeing myself, I'm so far away from such seriousness. So how can I be this much serious like Maharaj Parikshit? I don't think you can imitate Maharaj Parikshit. No, I can't. But it also says that as long as I have a material body, I can't be something serious due to necessities of satisfying the body, food and care. Well, the thing is, you don't have to imitate Maharaj Parikshit. That if you will just take whatever prasadam you need to do your service nicely, and take whatever rest you need to do your service nicely, then you also can become a pure devotee. How to control the mind from sex desire? Keep fixing it on Krishna. Krishna, sex desire means under the influence of Kamadev or Madan. But Krishna is Madan Mohan, the attractor of Cupid. So if you will fix your mind on Krishna, then Madan will leave you alone. It is stressed that one should hear Bhagavatam in the association of devotees, and it's also stressed that one should read daily. Out of these two, which is more important? Well, by hearing the Bhagavatam in the association of devotees, you are reading daily. You're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're reading and so Bhagavatam means you are reading Bhagavatam. By hearing it, whether you read it yourself or you hear it read to you, it's the same thing. But I have just enough time for one of them. Which should I choose? Prabhupada said we have to go to Bhagavatam class. It's his order. Prabhupada mandated we all attend Bhagavatam class. So one should attend the Bhagavatam class. And for extra reading, I know I complained to Prabhupada when I was a young brahmachari. I complained. I wrote him a letter saying, Prabhupada, I don't have enough time to read. He didn't like my argument. He said, there's much time in the day for beauty. And he said, what is the good of so much study without practice? So, Prabhupada in my case. He didn't buy my argument. So if you're really serious to read Krishna, actually you can even skip a meal if you're that serious. You just take breakfast in the morning and skip your lunch if you're really that. That's what I did. As I explained the other day, there was when I joined, there was no such thing as cassette tapes in the lecture. You couldn't hear Prabhupada's lectures unless you were sitting in one when I joined ISKCON. And then a wonderful thing happened, cassette tapes, ki jai. Now they're recording them and they're sending out, you can subscribe to the Bhaktivedanta tape ministry, you get a wonderful envelope every week with all the latest lectures. Wow! But where's the time to sit and hear these lectures? You gotta do this, you gotta do that, running, all the service we gotta do. But I said, I don't need to eat that much, so I would just take a nice breakfast and skip lunch every day. During lunch, I had the Brahmacharya ashram all to myself to hear those tapes and take notes. And I have many notebooks of all those notes I took from those tapes. So, if you're really that keen to study, you take a big breakfast and skip lunch. Or something like that. Just an example. The point is, where there's a will, there's a way. And if you want to read, Krishna will give you a way to do it. If you're really more interested in reading than you are in gratifying your time or other things. So just if you're enthusiastic to read, you'll find a way to do it, I believe. I remember a year, I was so, at one time I went to Houston Temple to become the vice president, but then they decided somebody else should be the vice president and I should be the head cook. And it was so intense because that was a temple where every devotee went on Sankirtan every day, except for me. The temple president lived far away from the temple. I was all of myself, and I had to do everything. And every arti I had to offer, I had to make, do everything. Cook the offerings, make up the plate, offer the arti, transfer, answer the telephone, and even a guest came and take care of the guest. The whole thing was on my shoulders. And the only time I had to read was once a week when I cooked the burfi. I would stir the burfi with my right hand and hold the book with my left hand and read. Once a week I got to read while I was stirring the burfi. So, that happens sometimes. You may be in a very intense situation. But one thing I did have, that we had a cassette player, and I heard the Hyderabad temple opening address hundreds of times. And those words of Prabhupada went really deep into my heart. Again and again. For a whole year I just heard that. We had a couple of 2 or 3 tapes and that was it. I was hearing him again. So Krishna will give you the facility to dive into these teachings. If you have that desire, even if you're intensely absorbed, with no time to sit down and read, you'll find a way to hear a tape while you're cutting vegetables. You'll find someone if you're really intense. Okay, one is destined to get what he is bound to, but thought I might not get what I desire daunts me. What should be done? Just desire Krishna. Why do you have any other desire? If you desire Krishna, you're guaranteed to get Krishna. You desire anything else, you may get it, you may not get it. So just do yourself a favor. Don't frustrate yourself. Desire Krishna and only Krishna, and you're guaranteed to be successful. I like devotees in Krishna consciousness, but when it comes to the association of devotees, I find it hard to appreciate devotees. Please advise how to have good relations with devotees. Every devotee is a saint. Even if they have bad qualities, every devotee is saintly. You have to appreciate the good quality of every single devotee. Just imagine, it happened to me one time years ago. I was doing supporting our center, I was doing a business, as a travel business. And I went on what's called a fam trip for travel agents to Israel. And I was with all these karmis. It was just too much, There was this whole group of karmis going to the holy places. We went to the Sea of Galilee where Jesus walked on the water, and but they were singing some silly song that I will bless thee, O Lord. I will bless. They were singing to God, I will bless you. It is so. I couldn't stand it. But then there was some devotees in town. I didn't even know them, but I found out there were some devotees in Jerusalem. So that evening I went to associate them. It was like being in the desert and coming to an oasis. So my point is, we take devotees for granted. We don't realize to have the devotees association is the greatest blessing you could ever have in millions and billions of lifetimes. To have the association of any devotee. So that week in Jerusalem, I really realized how wonderful it is to have a devotees association, even for a few minutes. It's our life. So beat your mind with shoes. You have to appreciate every devotees. Even one moment's association. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kai. Sadhu Sangha Lavanta, Sarva Siddhi Hai. We read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, even one moment's association with a sadhu can bestow all perfection upon one. So you realize you're dealing with people who are very dear to Krishna, and you're not appreciating them. There's some problem you're having with your consciousness. You have to learn to appreciate it. What is the importance of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam? Because it's Krishna himself. How should we prepare before visiting the Mayapur? Chant good rounds and follow the principles. Can Gita be taught at school children at the age of 10? Of course. Young children like toys and TV and mobile phones more than devotion, how to teach them. Well, my godbrother was a little boy at the time. His name was Varkadish Das. Papa called him Mr. DDD, perfection. So his father came to Vrindavan. His father was not invited with some toys. And he offered little Dwarkadish the toys, and Dwarkadish refused him. He said, "It is Maya." So Prabhupada really liked Mr. DDD. So these children should learn to be like Mr. DDD and be more interested in devotional service than in some mundane toys. Because will the toys save you the time of death? Will your little fire truck save you the time of death? Children should learn these things. Is it Krishna or Krishna I heard? Is it Krishna or Krishna I heard when we chant Hare Krishna? Or is it Krishna? Oh, we're chanting Krishna, we're not chanting the Draupadi. I want to homeschool my daughter, but I feel she'll be left out of society. What do you think? It's very good to be left out of the material society. Actually, that was the whole thing back in the 60s. We dropped out of the material society. The hippies' philosophy was to drop out of the society. We call it the establishment. You want to drop out of it. We tried to start a new culture, but it didn't work. The Prabhupada gave us the real counterculture. Should young children chant on beads? So Prabhupada, what age? There's one letter where Prabhupada said at a certain age they should, I forget the age, at a certain age they should, I forget the exact age. That can be researched in the database. At what age they should start chanting on beads. Student life in Melbourne is very troublesome. It is hard to cope with studies and jobs. It becomes really hard to live devotional life along with this life. That's why you have to chant first. Get up and chant your japa first before you head out to work or to your job. If you put Krishna first, there's a wonderful, actually, Bhaktivedanta article by one of our lady devotees in Toronto. She's now initiated. She was Rashi Singh at the time. She was doing an MBA. It was really intense. Really, really intense study. She came home from a hard day at school. She had an exam to study for, a paper to write, and she had her beads sitting there. She hadn't touched them the whole day. And she wondered, what should I do? Should I study for the exam, write the paper, or chant my beads? She said, better do the beads first. And then everything made sense. I'm studying Krishna. I'm writing this paper for Krishna. As soon as she chanted first, then everything became for Krishna. So it's a very good, I never forgot that article, very nice article of Rashi Singh. First do your chantings, and then now I'm going to work for Krishna. I'm going to school for Krishna. Everything is for Krishna, because you're offering the result of that to Krishna. If you don't chant, you just get up and go to school or go to work, then why are you doing it? You become a Buddha. How can we, as practicing devotees, live confidently in faith and not in fear? We end up focusing on our faults way too much, and then fall away. Actually, it's good to see your faults. The more I can see my faults, the more I become strong in Krishna consciousness. If I think I'm faultless, I think I'm a very advanced devotee now, I've been around for so many years, I'm Brahmin initiated, and I'm really advanced, Actually, one godbrother I remember forget, many years ago in Gainesville, he announced one day, he said, they just call me the Paramahamsa Brahmachari. Actually, he left ISKCON shortly after that. Our Paramahamsa Brahmachari went back to Mayadevi's lap shortly after. So it's good to realize, hey, I'm not a Paramahamsa. I've got a problem with lust, I got a problem with anger, I got a problem with greed, I got a problem with envy. I got all kinds of problems. The more you can see your problems, the more you can appreciate devotees preaching when they point out your faults and go, well, thank you very much. You reminded me. So it's good to see your faults. That's how you become very strong. Prabhupada himself said, I have no love. I've been designated Bhaktivedanta, but I have no bhakti and no Vedanta. If Prabhupada says, I have no knowledge and no love, what is our position? And Lord Chaitanya also said, he said, I have no love for Krishna. The proof is that in the separation of Krishna, I am not dying. If I truly loved him, I would die in his separation. The fact that I'm not dying proves I don't love him. So just try to be, do a little reality check and realize, we're fallen. We're very fallen. And that actually empowers you. The more you can see things that they actually are, you become empowered in Krishna consciousness. How to engage children in devotional service? By doing it yourself and engaging them with you. I remember my disciple Adhikari, he used to come every Sunday feast. He'd bring his little kid, and he'd sit him on the side with a little toy knife. He was too young to have a real knife, so he had a little toy knife with some scraps, and he'd be there doing his imitation cutting vegetables. You see, at the same time the father was cutting the real vegetables with a real knife. You see, so engage them in doing devotional service. Gaudiya Sampradaya says Chaitanya is Krishna. Vallabha Sampradaya says Vallabhacharya is Radha. Prabhupada, actually Lord Chaitanya chastised the founder of the Vallabhacharya, the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya. He was chastised by Lord Chaitanya. How come they did not recognize each other? Boy, this is really this question is really, you don't understand why Lord Chaitanya didn't recognize Vallabhacharya. That's really, that question is an ignorant question. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He chastised Vallabhacharya for his independent movement. He wasn't Radharani. Why are you so confident about homeschooling? People in society look at it like it's crazy. Well, I have disciples who are doing it very successfully, and their children are coming out first class. Plus, we have, for example, of Ravi Gupta, who came out as a big Sanskrit professor in the university from homeschooling. Everyone celebrates birthday, whereas we understand that today's birth is, in this material world, is punishment. So should we celebrate birthday? Actually, it's not really necessary to celebrate. Actually, birthday is celebrated by service. On Krishna's birthday, he invented service. The idea now, the birthday cake and the little hats, you know, and you blow them, this is not Vedic. Vedic, on your birthday, you give service. How to cut the rope to the three modes of material nature? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. Today is the birth of Lord Jesus Christ. What should our mood be? How do we glorify Lord Jesus Christ? By becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. That is the best way of celebrating Christmas. This wonderful kirtan that Ani Guru Prabhu did this morning, this is a fantastic Christmas celebration. You mentioned that devotees are well-wishers of everybody while helping others by hearing their problems and giving spiritual situations to get their karma. No. By helping others, you become relief from your own karma and they become relief from their karma. It's not that you become polluted by preaching. The more you preach, the more you become purified. In a few instances after counseling, I experienced polluted consciousness. Well, it can be kind of taxing to hear about everybody's problems, but it's actually, if you're taking that mood of compassion, then that's the greatest service. I know Tamal Krishna was in India years ago. When the devotees first went there, they were just blissing out of Krishna consciousness. But then Prabhupada sent Tamal Krishna Swami out to do all kinds of things dealing with karmis, and he felt he was getting polluted by that. He was in anxiety, going to meet this official, that, going these long taxi rides to the other side of Bombay to do this and that, and he was feeling polluted by this. He was in anxiety about it. So Prabhupada told him, he said, you just give this one life in the service of Lord Chaitanya. Whatever is lacking at the time of your death, Lord Chaitanya will cover you and take you back to Godhead. So even you'd feel some strain from, to hearing other devotees' problems, being a counselor, you feel kind of pulled down by it. Just continue to do that service, and Lord Chaitanya will cover for you at the time of death because you acted on His behalf. When we preach, the concept of spiritual happiness sounds very utopian to many new people. How do we explain? Instead of trying to explain, like being really miserable and say, Krishna consciousness makes you really happy. Now, why don't you be blissful? Then you don't have to explain it. You see, that's how I was convinced. I was Vishnu John Swami came to Austin, like the Pied Piper. And we were all he immediately, just coming into Austin, immediately got a huge following just because he was so blissful. Going out, he came to the place where the hippies would hang out. There was a hippie street market. He just came there. He had no kartals, he had no madanga, no harmonium. He just clapped his hands and started singing. And immediately attracted so many people because he was so blissful. So, trying to explain, Krishna consciousness is really blissful. Just be ecstatic. And you don't have to explain it to them. They'll experience it just by having your association. Wow, this person is so ecstatic. I want to be like that. How do I enhance the quality of my chanting? Prabhupada, actually, Rupa Goswami says about carefully chanting. If you chant carefully, it will naturally be enhanced. Not carelessly, but carefully. Observe your japa. Am I chanting carelessly or carefully? If you tell someone in detail about Krishna and they still do not believe in Krishna, what do? What do you say to make them a devotee? You can't force anybody to be a devotee. They actually are devotees already, but it's just covered by layers and layers and layers after millions and billions of lifetimes. Millions and quadrillions and quintillions of layers of ignorance are now covering their devotee consciousness. You have to just help them become purified, give them prasada. find some way to connect them. You don't have to ask them to believe in Krishna. Just show them your compassion, your love. Make them feel good by being kind to them. And that will help them awaken their Krishna consciousness. Jesus Christ stayed in Jagannath Puri for some time. Could you please elaborate on that pastime and explain the connection? Prabhupada did cite from the Aquarian Gospel of Lord Jesus Christ at one Rath-Yatra festival in the U.S. It's mentioned there that Jesus went to Jagannath Puri, he saw the Rath-Yatra. There's no more details given. Why is chanting important? Because chanting purifies your heart and brings you back to your original, blissful, cognizant, fully cognizant nature as Krishna's devotee. And now the last question. Let somebody on the internet. Oh yeah, here's an internet question from West Virginia, in the U.S. What do you tell someone who thinks you're being brainwashed by a cult? Well, there's different ways you can say it. Actually, our brains are dirty, they need washing. That's one thing you can say. But actually, this is not a brainwashed cult. We're educating people to actually understand what is real. This whole material society is a brainwashed cult. They're brainwashing you into thinking that you're your body. We are actually deprogrammers here. We are deprogramming you for the brainwashing that the material society did on you. So no, we're against brainwashing. We help you become free from the influence of brainwashing. Let's see, here's another one from India, Lila Manjari Devi Dasi. Does unalloyed, unmotivated devotional service, a high kapiyapatiya, come in Krishna Prema stage only? Well, even a neophyte has a certain percentage of it. It becomes 100%. Prabhupada explains that the Asakti stage, he mentions in the Narada Bhakti Sutra, when one comes to the stage of Asakti, then it becomes completely pure. So we're getting some percentage of it even in the beginning, but it's not pure until you reach the Asakti stage, which is the gateway into Bhava and then praying. Okay, now the last question. See, I don't think there's any more on the internet. Let's check that real quick. Yeah, Shamakuna from South Africa. How do we cultivate the ability to hear qualitatively to enable us to chant and serve very nicely? Same point I just made. Carefully chant. Let's see, Alexander. Oh, there's a bunch of questions. Alexander. Me and my daughter, almost every day we're facing situations of violence wherever we go. Most of the time we are witnesses of crimes of all sorts. I wonder what country that is. Oh. Huh?
She's from London.
What?
She's from London.
In London? Krishna protects us, so we're always intervening and not particular. Some days it's too much for us to wonder how we can serve Krishna in those situations. We can help people but not preach. Why is this happening to us daily? We never feel scared because we know Krishna protects us. Could we tell us, or could you tell us, which, they want to know why they're putting in all these difficult situations. Actually, whatever situation any of us are put into is all orchestrated by Krishna himself for the purpose of purifying our consciousness and bringing us back to him as soon as possible. So if you'll understand that actually everything, as Prabhupada told us on his deathbed in Vrindavan, he said everything is acting and moving under the direction of Krishna. This consciousness is Krishna consciousness. So one has to see that. And then you see Krishna acting, and you'll never be afraid, and you'll expertly deal with every situation. And now the last one. As it is Christmas today, can you please elaborate on our relationship, on the relationship shared between Christ and Krishna? Christ is the pure devotee of Krishna. In fact, the word Christ comes from the Greek word Christos, which is derived from the Sanskrit word Krishna, which is another way of saying Krishna. So there's a very intimate connection between Lord Jesus Christ and Krishna. Christ is a pure devotee of Krishna, but he could not teach on the intimate aspects of the science of bhakti to those people. He just gave them very elementary understandings, and even that got him killed. So we worship Lord Jesus as a pure devotee of Krishna. Personally, I was actually studying the Bible to understand what was the perfection of Christ's consciousness and how could I achieve that same consciousness. So I feel a very strong connection with Jesus because Jesus helped me become a devotee of this movement. Because there's really no difference between Christ consciousness and Krishna consciousness. Of course, the people, the so-called Christians, don't understand that. Now I have some Christian arguing with me. The teachings, the Buddha teaches against the teachings of Christ. He says, you're teaching reincarnation, a special diet. That's not Christianity. That's not what Jesus said. But they don't understand Christian. The Christians don't understand Christ. Their understanding is wrong. They think a Christian can eat anything, even meat, even cow. They go to church and they go to McDonald's after the church service. I mean, they don't understand, they don't really understand Jesus Christ. We understand Jesus Christ as Prabhupada revealed to us, but it's an untrue understanding of Jesus Christ. So we thank you all very much. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai.